Last night in D.C. at the Capitol Hill Christmas tree lighting, pro-Hamas protesters erupted into chants of ceasefire now, while the Speaker of the House lit the Capitol Christmas tree. Tonight in New York City, the flood the tree lighting for Gaza. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of people showed up to protest the annual Rockefeller Christmas tree lighting. Tens of thousands want to just come and watch and kick off the season. The NYPD says they're pulling out all the stops to keep everyone safe. Officers are using drone technology to watch above, and you can see people then crawling up on some of the barricades. Retired FBI agent, attorney Bobby Chacon, Vice President of Trust and Restoring Integrity in Elections, Mailman, is with us now. Bobby, I want to start with you. Help us understand the decision-making matrix that goes into this, right? Because we've seen in a lot of these protests, people can shout whatever they want, but we saw at the White House trying to break into the White House, vandalizing the White House, no arrests. We're seeing in New York City, people climbing up onto things and getting in people's faces and becoming very aggressive, all that kind of stuff. We'll put up video of what's happening at Rock Center right now, carrying swastikas and the like. Who makes the decision whether to stand back and just make sure nobody gets hurt versus actively enforcing laws like you can't climb up on top of things in Rockefeller Center?
Well, there's a planning phase that happens prior to these events, and it's both the prosecutors and the police and the law enforcement and the policymakers, the politicians that are in charge. And so everything filters down. Of course, the law enforcement has to be the ones to go hands-on, but those decisions are made leading up to it. And, you know, quite frankly, recently, there's been a permissive environment to let these things happen. I mean, I remember I was part of the FBI security detail in 1999 in Times Square. We had that place locked down. Anybody that stepped out of line was whisked away and prosecuted. You don't have that same fervor now to prosecute people that are doing these things, unless it was, you know, the January 6th people. But we see the permissive environment that they're now allowed to. And let me say, I've observed criminals all my life. They are very adaptable. They know what they can get away with. And if they know they're in a permissive environment where they're not going to be prosecuted, they will become more and more and more aggressive until you start prosecuting them. And you will be dealing with this on a much more serious level the more you allow it to happen.
Bobby brought up, except the January 6th people. I think I'm going to know the answer ahead of time. But we couldn't believe when we watched the video of people trying to break into the White House that nobody was arrested. Even former Secret Service agents couldn't believe that nobody was arrested. They said, oh, for sure, they're going to track these people down. We've kept after it. We've watched. They haven't been tracked down. They haven't been arrested for vandalizing the White House or trying to break in, on and on and on. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't, because even arrests don't matter. So if you look at the BLM arrests, depending on the city, between 90 and 95% of those arrests were dropped. Charges were not brought. I think the Department of Justice itself dropped between 600 and 700 cases versus January 6th, more than 1,000 people are facing charges. We've seen these pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas riots get violent. So the one that happened outside of the DNC where they had to shut down Congress, people couldn't leave. Yeah. Police officers were injured, no arrests. Well, one arrest. We'll see what happens to that person.
Yeah, you think there were far more officers injured than there were people arrested, which doesn't quite, the ratio seems a little off there. Look, you don't want to ever see a police officer get hurt, regardless of the place. Bobby, this is what I'm interested in when you talk about the FBI looking into this and watching these rallies. It's pretty clear the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas groups that were on the streets the day after October 7th, which was sort of stunning timing in terms of being able to even just get all these Palestinian flags out. They're obviously being organized. You have to imagine there are a lot of people who are Hamas sympathizers in there just based on the chants and what the interviews have shown. How good is the FBI's view and insight into who's organizing it and what these people are capable of?
Well, I think it's very good, and I think it's a good insight. It depends on what they do with the insight. So we're married, right, hip to hip with the Justice Department. If they're not going to prosecute, we don't arrest, and that's the deal. There's no sense arresting people if DOJ is not going to prosecute. So if they go hand in hand, and in the lead up to these things, if we're putting our plan together, and if they're not going to prosecute, and then it's kind of hard. Then what happens is the city takes these people off. They go to central booking. They get dismissed, and they're out on the street within hours, probably before cops are back. So it really comes down to the decision by the prosecutors. Are we going to treat these people as the criminals that they are? If we're not, then why is law enforcement even there or getting involved? You know, we're keeping the peace, but we're letting these criminals run amok. And I guarantee the more violent and more aggressive, the more it goes on.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.